Hello and welcome. This is the Zen community of Oregon, making the teachings of the Buddha Dharma accessible to support your practice. New episodes air every week.
I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. This is the Vow Sesshin for January 2025, the second talk. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming to Sesshin. Thank you, those of you who will listen to this talk later. It's wonderful to come together to practice what is rare to practice. In this particular sesshin, in this week-long retreat, a little bit shorter, we'll take up the practice of considering vows. Vows with a V, not bows with a B, although we'll do plenty of those before the week is up. And we want to talk about vow because it's an essential element of practice. Vows help guide us. Vows keep us inspired. Vows are reminders. They're reminders of what inspires. And as Hogan said yesterday, we will consider the 4 Bodhisattva vows, which we chant every day. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. There's an older version of these vows that is from the Bodhisattva Jewel Necklace Sutra. I vow to enable people to be released from the truth of suffering. I vow to enable people to understand the truth of the origin of suffering. I vow to enable people to peacefully settle down in the truth of the path, leading to the cessation of suffering. I vow to enable people to enter the cessation of suffering, that is nirvana. And those vows are structured around the 4 noble truths. The ones that we chant are more of the Mahayana, the great vehicle, which has as its model the Bodhisattva, who not only practices for others, or for ourselves, but also for others. And that older version, you get a sense of the 4 noble truths about the first being that human beings have difficulty, they suffer. Second, it comes from clinging and aversion. The third being that we can surpass that. We can go beyond that, not get caught, and there's a path. We'll have an opportunity to consider our own vows and to make it personal. It's wonderful to do these chants, and we all have our unique situation, our own unique life, our own gifts, our own history, our own proclivities, our own talents. And so there's something that we are called to do in this life. And it can be helpful to bring it to life through vow. Making it personal. So here's how Joko Beck, one of our women ancestors, rewrote these vows. Her version goes, caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. So we have an opportunity to tune into, align with our unique body, mind, heart, and give voice to what we're called to do. And the way that we give voice to the heart's aspiration is by making vows. So what is a vow? I think in this culture, I think the only time we really talk about vow is marriage vows. But vow is something that is already present, and it's a helpful way to tune into what's already present. So Chosen Roshi has a wonderful definition for vow, which is the word vow represents the actual power of a bundle of energy purposely formed, aimed, and propelled through time. The word vow represents the actual power of a bundle of energy purposely formed, aimed, and propelled through time. So it's like an energy snowball, maybe. Purposely formed, aimed, and chucked through time. That what we do, it harnesses the truth of karma. That what we think, what we say, what we do matters, and it has an effect. And so it harnesses the power of intentional action and moves it one way and not another. And for spiritual people, for bodhisattvas in training, our vows are oriented towards liberation of self and other. So, a bundle of energy. Another way to think about vow or consider vow is an intention, an aim, a direction we're headed, or a direction we want to remember to head. A vow expresses the heart's aspiration. It's a hope, a wish, a prayer that is deeply meaningful for us. The heart's aspiration. So a vow kind of catches you in a way that doesn't really speak to you. You can use this framing of the heart's aspiration. And interestingly enough, aspiration, for those of you who are in medicine, aspiration also means the action or process of drawing breath. So here we are attending to our breath throughout the sesshin to stabilize our mind and heart, to relax into the present moment, which of course we never leave. But our minds are, especially at the beginning of sesshin, often elsewhere. And so we over and over again return to the direct experiencing of the breath or the body, the hands, whatever your particular way to return or abide in the body. So, some qualities of vows. So, vows are universal. Indeed, Shodo Harada Roshi says, life is the original vow. Life is the original vow. So, this life force that moves through our experience is vow. And we experience it both with words, we can describe it, the coolness of in-breath, the warmth of out-breath, the shimmering, pulsing experience of the body. We can say that, and those words only point to an experience which is beyond words. So vows are universal in that all living things, in a way, have the vow of life. And indeed, that vow began to move through us before we had words. So Sesshin is a wonderful way to consider heart's aspiration or vow, because we set down words and can tune into the wordless. And as we tune into the wordless, then as we begin to articulate vows, we have a sense of, that's right, that feels right. It's not, when the words come, the alignment in our being can confirm our vow. So vows are universal, but they're also personal. Because they're your life. Vows can be inherited. So the inherited vow of life, we can inherit vows from our family. We can consider what was important in your family, or is important in your family of origin. Your parents, your grandparents. And what was important to them. Harmonious family life, respect in the community, getting an education, religious practice, going to church. And as we consider what the vows of our family might be, they can kind of point to maybe vows that we inherited. So, for example, my father went into the Air Force. He went to Vietnam. He was in the Vietnam War. He was good with mechanical things, so he fixed helicopters. That was his work. He fixed helicopters and ran a crew. He was very mechanical. I didn't get the vow to fix things or understand mechanical things in any way, much to his disappointment. Not really disappointment, but just shaking his head. I did learn how to change spark plugs. So after the war, he remained in the Air Force for 20 years, and then he went to work for the federal government in the Defense Department for 30 years. So some of the values that I now realize the values that he exhibited that I have inherited is a sense of public service, team, and leadership. His underlying vow underneath that is to serve others and lead with integrity. And so the effect on me was I took up a vow of service, and that was, for me, ended up being in politics for a time. And really, one of the questions I had while I was in it was how to lead in integrity, with integrity. So that's an example of an inherited vow. That's something I saw. Now that I look in the past, I can say, oh, that's present here. Being of service, being in community. Vows can be reactive. I'm not going to do it like him. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be like that. So reactive vow might be, so an example of that would be when I was growing up, we were always late to everything. And it wasn't until college that I discovered what happens in the first 10 minutes of the Catholic Mass. You don't want to say like always and never, but we were always late. Always. So, Jo Man, some of you know, who I'm married to, she grew up in a similar situation. She had a strong vow not to be late to things because she grew up in that kind of household. So I picked up that vow from her, and I now do my best to be on time. And in fact, sometimes it can be so reactive. Now I'm anxious when I'm running late. So it's a little bit overcorrection, which can happen with our reactive vows. So one way with that, now on the surface, this is not a very deep vow, like be on time to stuff, right? Not very deep. And it was more self-centered at the beginning, for sure. Like, I don't want to be like that. And over time, through practice, it's become more of a loving vow. One that's about other people as doing spiritual practice and considering others. So it's a vow that's about respecting other people's time as best I can. Also, so they don't have to worry. So what is the effect of that action? So that's a reactive vow that goes from reactivity, then to overcorrection, then can this be something that's not so self-centered? Vows can be inspired. So who are the people who have inspired you, who have changed your life in significant ways? Change your way of living, pick up certain causes or way that you care in the world, what qualities they admired, what were their vows. So this can be someone, a great sort of bodhisattva in this world, like Martin Luther King or Mr. Rogers or Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama. Or it could be someone who was a really important teacher to you. So vows reveal themselves as we walk the path. This is why even though we may have done vows work, as we do it, we learn more and more. Also, things reveal themselves as we walk. So, for example, my father sung in church. He opened the doors for the AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous, and he ended up being an old-timer that they call on the 12 steps, an old-timer. and a sponsor, somebody who helps people who are working to get sober and stay sober. So it was only years later that I realized that this thread runs through both our lives, his life and my life. So he had the keys to the trailer to open it up for the AA meeting, and I had the keys to the temple to open that up for all of us who are addicted to our self-centeredness. Addicted to our self-centered thinking. And I guess after 20 years, I could be considered an old-timer. And a sponsor. So who knows where that came from, though? There's this mysterious thread that kind of runs through and connects us. But it's only now, after time, that it's become apparent. So we can ponder how we've been shaped by vows. Perhaps there's some that we picked up. Perhaps there are some that we've made to as an aversion. Perhaps there's ones that have run through our life. Vows can be endless and boundless. So the great vow of Great Vow Zen Monastery is the great vow of Jizo Bodhisattva. Jizo Bodhisattva, sometimes called the king of vows. So Jizo is a bodhisattva. Bodhi means awakened or awakening. Sattva means being. Those of you who have taken a walk out in the forest have perhaps seen Jizos peeking out from the trees and bushes. So Jizo is revered in Japan, where our particular stream of Zen comes from. And Jizo's considered the guardian of all that comes from the earth. Women, also the guardian of women, the guardian of children. And we have a Jizo memorial through that gate over there. And we do ceremonies for children who have died. Children who have died, infants, miscarriage. And we've seen more and more people come to memorialize adult children who perhaps died by overdose or died by suicide. So Jizo is this guardian energy that we can all, that is us. In a way, it's there's a way that we can regard Jizo as a particular archetype of the potential of a human being. Or we can open to others who manifest these qualities, who are regarded as emanations of Jizo. So there's lots of ways to work with Jizo. So a little bit about this here's the vow of Jizo. So this is from the Sutra of the Past Vows of Earth Store Bodhisattva. Jizo means earth store or earth womb. All that is born from the earth is what this awakening being regards as in their care. So this is how the legend of Jizo and the vow of the great vow of Jizo goes. At the time of his death, the Buddha said, "I have worked hard for many kalpas to liberate obstinate living beings. those who have not yet understood the Dharma, the teachings. Those who have not understood the teachings will surely fall into states of suffering. This is the Buddha lamenting that he is going to die and not able to continue to teach. Jizo Bodhisattva said, even if their good deeds are as little as a hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, a mote of dust, or a bit of down, even if these beings' good deeds are as little as a hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, a mote of dust, or a bit of down, I shall gradually help these living beings to liberation. World-honored one, do not feel distressed over beings in generations to come. And he repeated this vow 3 times. Shakyamuni Buddha was delighted and said, my blessings, I appreciate your strong vows and praise you for your efforts to heal the human world. When you fulfill this great vow after many kalpas, ages and ages, incalculable ages, you will become a Buddha. So this is the great vow of Jizo Bodhisattva, which is to regard all living beings, that if they even have the tiniest bit of goodness in them, the tiniest bit, smidgen of goodness, the awakening being that embodies the spirit of Jizo will help them, will respond and help guide them to awaken to their true heart. So there's an important element of that vow and all vows, which is vows are in the present moment. It's not so much what do I want to be, as we consider vows, what do I want to be? Vows are how do I want to be? How do I want to be? And this is the difference between Buddhist vows or spiritual vows in general and self-improvement vows. Like, I vow to exercise 3 times a week. I vow to, whatever it is. This is how do I want to be in the moment, in the present moment. How do I want to respond to life as it is? So in the Jizo ceremony we do here at Great Vow, we call it Kishitagarbha, which is the Sanskrit name for Jizo, is vowing to embody the qualities of Jizo Bodhisattva: benevolence, determination, optimism, fearlessness, and great vow. So I mention this just to give an example of how we can make vows that are of the present moment. So the vow that Jizo makes, or the vow we do in the ceremony about embodying benevolence, is we say, I vow to welcome everyone who comes towards me with a warm and undefended heart. The vow of benevolence is, I vow to welcome everyone who comes towards me with a warm and undefended heart. The vow of determination says, may I walk the path of awakening, of enlightenment, dissolving all obstructions and never turning back. So these are not vows, these are vows that are directional vows, and they're step by step, may I be walking the path to enlightenment. Step by step, whatever comes towards me, may I meet it with kindness, benevolence, warmth. It's not, I'm going to go be this kind of person. But of course, if we do this moment after moment, then we do become a warm person, a benevolent person. But we only do it in the doing. So these are present moment vows. How do I want to be with whatever comes towards me? Meet whoever comes towards me. And since whatever comes towards me is my life, the vow is about how I meet my life. So why is vow important for spiritual practice? It's essential because it's a reminder of what's important to us so that our practice isn't based on how we feel, whether we like it or not, whether we like what we're feeling or not. So life has challenges, and in Buddhism, we consider that as the way things are. Human beings experience dissatisfaction, stress, dukkha is the word we often use for this kind of grinding dissatisfaction or stress. And the teaching is, the observation that we can make is that this dissatisfaction comes from clinging and aversion. Clinging to try and hold on to things and keep them the way that we like them, or push away the things that we don't like and try and get them to change to the way that we like. In other words, this dukkha is resisting the way things are. So we come to practice. We start to meditate. Many of us begin to experience a sense of clarity, openness, less reactivity. Maybe not on day one of Sesshin. Just hold out. It's coming. So we begin to notice a sense of space. We start to feel better. So our motivation that comes from when we were suffering can start to ebb. Our motivation for practice can start to ebb. So by staying in touch with our vows, it can help keep us steady. Remember what is most important to us, when it can be easily drowned out by distractions, by the many, many distractions of this world. The other thing that making our vows can do is not so much when things get better, but also when things get difficult, which is inevitable. Difficulties will come. We make a vow to meet everyone who comes towards me with a warm and undefended heart, and somebody unlikable comes towards me. Then what? It's easy to do that. It's easy to do that with a kitten or golden retriever. Oh, if the golden retriever is coming towards me, I meet it with warm and undefended heart. Perfect. Or for a tree, find your favorite tree that you love. It's very easy to love a tree. But we're not just guiding trees and golden retrievers to awakening. We're guiding people who are not so likable or people we disagree with. That's how our heart gets larger. That's how we awaken. So being in touch with our vows can help keep us steady, no matter whether we're in a place of that we like, that feels good, a place that we would not prefer, doesn't feel good, or is difficult. So the way that we can tune into this is consider what brought you to practice. What brought you to practice at this Sesshin? Why did you come here? And those of you who live here and are stuck doing this Sesshin no matter what brought you to become a resident of this monastery? Something brought you here. So that is a clue into our vow. So this first bodhisattva vow is beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Again, a bodhisattva vow is an awakening being. So when we make those vows, we align ourselves with the vow of awakening beings. And this is Jiso's vow that we heard earlier. So we might consider this as, in a way, a problem statement. There are beings that aren't free. I vow to free them. Now, of course, there is a truth that everything is just as it is, that problems are a concept of the mind. Often it's our resistance and clinging. And that is a facet and perspective of truth. And we live in the relative world, and there's stuff that we complain about. There's stuff that we worry about. There's people that we worry about. There's people that we take care of. There's beings that we take care of. There's a way that we see how suffering the world is, and we want to respond. And so by identifying those things, then we can tune into what might be in our version of this vow. Beings are numberless, I vow to free them. What we might want to articulate for ourselves what's genuine for this unique body, heart, mind. So if we see too much hatred in the world, I vow to dispel hate and anger in my heart and be loving and bring love into the world. So one way about this is to consider making it personal. What are the forms of difficulty that you respond to, that you worry about, that you are called to? The earth, suffering people, suffering animals. Or where do you find yourself already situated? Are you a parent or a grandparent, a caregiver, a friend, spouse, teacher, guide? So the first part is what needs attention, or what do we want to pay attention to? And the second part is who I want to respond to, or who do I respond to? So again, it's not what do I want to be, but how do I want to be? This is the vows work. So we aren't trying to become something new. We're discovering what's already here. How is your life trying to live through you already? What are the threads of karma, of inspiration, of vow that already move through us? As the Quaker writer Parker Palmer has said, before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. What are you being called? What calls you already? What is your heart's aspiration? This is the way that we consider vow. Again, before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you, what it already does with you, how you already are brought to life. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Community of Oregon podcast, and thank you for your practice. New episodes air every week. Please consider making a donation at zendust.org. Your support supports us.